Philip Zhu, and the topic is planning and order fulfillment. So, Philip, my first question is, can you explain a little bit about what is this about, planning and order fulfillment?
Yeah, I would say planning is the most fundamental things of all the supply chain operations, because it is actually like the trigger of all the following processes, including like what we need to buy, how much we need to buy, what we need to make, okay, when we need to delivery, and who we should be delivered ship to. So to me, I think planning is always in the leading position of all the supply chain processes, because if you don't have a good planning process in place, whatever you do in the following processes, you are just trying to recover or saying you are just trying to save the mistakes you had made in the planning domain. And if we look at the whole planning process, you can see on top from the strategy planning, it will provide the direction the corporation will go, and also build up the bridge between the market and the operation. And then for sure we are followed with the sales and the operation plan, which means we now are getting deeper to see, okay, we have to build up a more specific plan to see how we can fulfill the corporate strategy and how we can achieve our business target. And the next step is always followed with, let's say, the MPS, main production scheduling. So on the SKU level, we need to know, okay, what is the detailed plan we need to drive for, and on which level we can again the confidence level to achieve our business targets. And followed with like the MRP, which means how we need to procure the materials, so what we need to buy. And then the production plan and the shop floor, which means we build products. Yeah, because almost all my experience are in the manufacturing perspective, so which means our understanding to the planning is also more like the manufacturing industry.
A little bit about how it's done effectively?
Yeah, I understand that there are maybe some different processes. So which process you are more preferred to talk about?
So you mentioned your experience in manufacturing. Can you talk about an example of how you've done this effectively?
For example, I think I can share some of the experience while we had been working on semiconductors. You know, the semiconductor industry is a typical kind of the industry that can be automated with the planning tools, because normally the BOM is much more simple comparing like the consumer electronics, but the manufacturing process and lead time is much longer. Yeah, so while I was in the semiconductor industries, we used a kind of tool which is APS, Advanced Planning Solutions. So I'm not sure you heard about that, but in that kind of the system solutions, the system will segmented all the demands, including the customer form orders, the forecast, the safety stock, and even like say maybe the returned goods. The system will segment it into the different priority groups. I think this is actually one of the most fundamental business rules that the planning system or the process should be followed, because you always have the limited resource to fulfill the demand. So you need to set up a clear priority that, okay, what should be supported with the limited resource first. And the second thing the APS system is doing is trying to mapping all the existing supply resources, including like the capacities, the materials, the safety stock you have, and also the labors you have, So mapping all the supply chain, existing supply resources, and to the prioritized demand layers. So which means there is a strategy saying like the ATP, which means available to promise, and also the CTP, capital to promise, to categorize your existing supply resources. And if, for example, one typical practice is if you have something with the higher priority to be fulfilled, the system will always trying to give you or assign you the ATP available to promise, which means you can have it on hand or you can have it within a very short time. But with maybe the lower priority demands, for example, like the safety stock targets, then okay, the system will allocate you with the CTP, the capital promise, which might mean you will use the capacity 3 months ahead, and the materials may be only available 2 weeks ahead of the capacity, and you will use that to fulfill your demands or commit to a demand. So I think this is the kind of the typical mapping strategy to balance the supply and demand, and always trying to provide to optimize the service level of the customer demands without over investing on your supply capabilities.
Do you have any recommendations on tools that you can use to help with planning and order fulfillment?
Yeah, what I indeed have the good user experience is about the i2 system. So, but as I know, i2 has been acquired by Oracle maybe starting from 2012 or 2013. So I'm not sure what is going on with them. But during my previous experience as a direct user system, I would say i2 is indeed a very balanced and optimized planning system.
Thanks. And do you have any final recommendations?
I'm sorry, maybe I'm not making myself clear. My recommendation is i2.
Oh, I mean, is regarding the topic of planning and order fulfillment, are there any final comments or recommendations that you have?
So you are saying that the recommendations to the existing solutions in the market or something else?
Oh, just regarding the best way for doing planning and order fulfillment, your experience and your overall recommendation on people who want to do a better job with planning and order fulfillment. Do you have any recommendations for people on how to do it more effectively? Any final things you want to say?
Yeah, I got your point. So I think for the low volume and high mix, the product portfolio, I would recommend for i2. But in a general perspective, I also have good user experience when I was in Cisco to using the Connexis. We use the Connexis to do the supply planning, and at that time we have indeed a very wide product portfolio and also the customer base. I think Connexis also did a very good job in that kind of area.
Can you provide a brief background of yourself?
You mean the background? My background, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Your background about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I graduated from the school with a major of electrical engineering. So actually, I started my career as a process engineer in the Seagate. So the hard disk driver provider. And I also worked for on semiconductors, Cisco, Vallejo, GoPro. So most of them are the Silicon Valley companies. And all my experience in the supply chain operation domains. So actually, I have covered almost the end-to-end processes, end-to-end supply chain process, except the sorting. Because for all the companies I had served for, the sorting function are mostly integrated in the headquarters. But for all the other functions like the procurement, planning, production, logistics, yeah, I had been the process owner of all the others. So that is, in general, like a brief of my background.
Thanks for sharing today, Philip.